Morning, everybody. If you would bear with me, can I get everybody to stand up, please? It's been an hour and a half. You've been sitting there very patiently, right? We've had some great speakers, but I gotta tell you, I've seen some people dozing hard, right? So can I get a show of hands while you're standing? Any veterans in the audience? Great. Anybody with children, sons and daughters in the services? Great. How about a round of applause, right? Okay, go ahead, sit down. So, two things that you're probably looking at me saying, holy crap, he don't look like a general. And I appreciate that. And I actually told my wife, she texted me and she says, how's it going? I said, well, it's pretty good. I've looked into the audience, and I am the only person generally that doesn't have a sports coat and a tie on. So you've met your training objective of making me feel comfortable, so I really appreciate it. Because you know I didn't pick this stuff, right? Susan did. The second thing is what am I doing here? Truthfully, I am not one of you. I am not as smart, intelligent, and visualization of how the new world is going to be. You are those people. My superpower is figuring out what the problem is, defining the end state, and then getting the right people to go do that, right? That's why people hire me to come in and help them with things. I know how to define the problem. I know how to bring the right people onto the bus. I know how to build this team and how to get us to our end state. And that's why they asked me to come here and speak for a few minutes to you. I think things are changing rapidly. I think more than most of you might understand. And it's not just the chaos we see right now on Fox News or CNN or whatever party that you're for. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the entire world. And how is that changing? And what are we doing to stay a world leader in this situation? I would argue that it's the group of people in this room and those that you represent are the future. But I'm going to tell you, in my personal opinion, as the sign says, old ways are not going to bring new successes. New doors are not going to open up. I don't care how good you think you are, how good you think your company is. I don't care what you've done in the past. It's all irrelevant. It's about how do you take your capability and your capacity to change what's in front of you. And there's too many companies that are betting on status quo. Status quo is a failed argument in my office. As soon as somebody comes in and says, well, this is how we won the last one, I stop the conversation. Get out. Now I have to be a little bit more polite because I just consult. Now I have to say, can I talk? Can I raise my hand? Can I give my opinion now? And when I describe what I think has to happen, I get all sorts of faces. I do, right? Because they have a bias against me. General, we know you were in combat. General, we know you did that. General, we know you were in the Army, right? But that's the bias they have about me. But truthfully, all I really cared about was protecting and defending our Constitution and figuring out ways to do that. You understand? So I was always going to figure out how to be adaptable. The second thing that I always relied on is getting the right people on the team, right? This saying hung in my father's office for his whole career, and when he passed away, I put it in my office. I believe this with all my heart. If you can get the right people doing the right things and nobody's worried about who gets the credit, anything can happen. I say this to this group of people, though, not for you as individuals, but for you in company representation. The world is changing, and it's changing here. And if we don't figure out how to partner with each other, how to take the best skills from our companies and the individuals we have in our company, we are not going to provide the best answer, the best solution. It can't be just about one company. This is what I really appreciate about UiPath, bringing everybody in here today. This is about developing a partnership, a capability, and a capacity, right? As the CIO talked this morning, that Russia and China can't defeat. It's got to be bigger. If we take the capability and capacity of all the intellect that we have in America, we can do anything. But you got to get past yourselves first. Are you worried about who gets credit? Are you worried about who makes the most money? Are you worried about who's who, up on some political stage? Cannot happen that way. This is a quote by General Moore. General Moore was in Vietnam. I was delivering newspapers in the 7th grade when he was there. And he went to battle with about 500 men. And he went to battle against 3,000 trained Vietnamese. And at the end of 3 days, he lost roughly 50 people. The Vietnamese lost over 2,000 people. And when asked, how did you do that? This was his response. I just kept thinking to myself, what am I doing that I should not do? And what am I not doing that I should do? As a leader, I think about this every single day, right? What am I doing that I should not be doing? And what am I not doing that I need to do? This enabled me in so many experiences. 5 years ago, when the Army housing had a problem, 100,000 houses across the country had fallen into disrepair. I was not in charge of them. The day that it came out in the Wall Street Journal, the Chief of Staff of the Army said, "General, you're now in charge of housing." Right? I had to take the problem on differently. I knew nothing about it. I took the team that was already doing it, and I just figured out what was important. And then I applied myself to those important things. And I let other leaders go do other things. And then I would go check. Then I would come back. And then I would bring leaders in, and I would have them do updates. I didn't have time to fix or see 100,000 homes. I had to identify the problems. I had to put the right leaders in charge, and I had to hold them accountable to execution. We fixed that problem in 6 months. And today we have a thriving, effective approach to taking care of Army housing. I'm going to talk to you about this in a minute, but it's about defining the problem. Is it an infinite problem or a finite problem? Most leaders don't take the time to figure that out. This is General Marshall. Many of you may not know this, which is an age thing, I'm sorry. But General Marshall was in charge of all the armed forces in World War II. And this is a letter, or a portion of a letter he wrote to General Eisenhower about why aren't you doing D-Day? How come you're not attacking Normandy? And basically he just says, hey, if you wait too much longer, the bad guys are going to really have a big foothold and he's going to kick your ass, right? What Eisenhower wrote back and said, hey, look, I have done a poor job of articulating what the situation is. I have it underhand, and I am ready to execute, right? You have to be able to trust the subordinates underneath you, and that's what Marshall did. Marshall wrote back and said, yep, Ike, you got me. I was looking from afar. I was sitting in my air-conditioned office in Washington, D.C. I was letting the political rhetoric drive my thoughts, which made me write the letter to you. I'm glad I wrote to you, and thanks for writing me back. Commanders or CEOs, right, need to be responsible for defining the problem and defining the end state and then letting their leaders go do their jobs. That's what makes you successful. If you are the individual at the top and you're figuring everything out, forget it. You're not going to make it through this. About 4 years ago, we thought we were going to go to war with maybe seven years ago, my math is wrong. We thought we were going to go to war with North Korea. The problem with that, we really were very sure we were going to go to war with North Korea. The problem with that is, even though we thought we had everything ready, we didn't have enough munitions to really execute the fight. Why? Because we'd made budget cut decisions over the years, all good decisions for the right time, etc. But now when we're really about to happen, right, we were a little bit behind. Chief of Staff of the Army picks up the phone and calls me and says, hey, look, we got a problem here. And he explains it to me, the situation, and I said, okay, I understand your intent. He didn't tell me what to do. He didn't tell me how to do it. What he expected me to understand was what we needed to do, right? And what we ended up doing was we went around, we saw where all the munitions were in America, which wasn't easy. Now we have capability and capacity to do that because of you guys. We collected all that munitions and we put it on 2 ships and we sent it there. Official reports identified that when the North Koreans saw how much munitions we were sending, they decided they were going to stand down because we overwhelmed them. My point is, leaders have to operate to create effects, not sit back and wait to be told what to do. Your capability and capacity that you bring the Department of Defense and other companies is about information. It's about showing us what we don't see. It's about helping us gather everything together rapidly so that we can make immediate decisions. That's your superpower collectively. If I get the information and it's in a timely manner, I can make the right decision most times. The last quote before I get off the stage here, this is Dr. Livingstone, famous explorer of Africa who got lost. Got lost in Africa, go figure. Staff came to him and said, hey, Dr. Livingstone, we're lost. People are dying. We're going hungry. We run out of supplies. Blah, 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 right? There's always a reason why you can't do something. They said, Dr. Livingstone, we have a plan. We're going to go backwards. We're going to go get a shower. We're going to go take care of ourselves. Then we're going to start over. True quote. Dr. Livingstone said, I'll go anywhere as long as it's forward. This is the mental attitude that we have to have collectively if we want to remain great. We have to build the team. We have to hold ourselves accountable. We have to let leaders do their jobs. And we have to stay on point. I will go anywhere as long as it's forward, right? When I took over the vaccine job, I can't tell you how many people wrote me. I have the emails. I collected the names. Not to get even, but just to use it as an incentive for me to go, right? I had over 30 names, people I went to high school with, went to college with, people I served with within the Army. People I didn't even know were writing me saying, why are you taking this job? You're going to fail. It can't work. It's physically not going to happen. I was in the Rose Garden on 18 May. We delivered vaccines on 12 December, 7 months after we started. Almost physically impossible. Anything can happen if we have the right leaders, the right teammates, the right decision-making to get it done. The last thing I'll leave you with, because this wonderful young lady here who's running this stage is amazing, but she cuts you off pretty quickly. I just want you to take a look at this list, right? If you're sitting there looking and you're trying to figure out what you're selling and what the leaders are thinking while you're in there talking to them, what you're building for them, what you're trying to help them do, this is what's going through my brain as a 4-star general. I know you think it's about money, and I know you think it's about, I want to be modernized and automated. No. I'm trying to figure out how you're going to solve these problems for me. Because if you're not solving these problems, then you're worthless. Okay? And I'm just as blunt as I can be. And I've asked people to get up and leave my office because they wanted to sell something to me. If you can understand these problems, you will be successful when you're talking to people like me. And I want to tell you, you have great products. You have great capabilities. You have great intellect and work ethic. And you care, right? You think bigger than yourselves. But if you're not helping me solve my problem, then so what? And that's the decision cycle that's going on right now in D.C. Step up or move away. Thanks, everybody. God bless you.